Welcome to Arkansas Wildlife. This week's episode is all about the Arkansas walleye. Now you might associate walleye with states like Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, but walleye are actually native to the natural state, and Arkansas has a robust population, although it's often an underutilized resource. This week we're going to take you through the life stages of a walleye from the Andrew Hulsey Fish Hatchery in Hot Springs, where the Game and Fish Commission supplements walleye production with its annual spawning project. Then we're headed out to Greers Ferry Lake with our old pal Cody Smith to do a little bit of walleye fishing. After that, we're going to enjoy probably the best part of walleye fishing, and that's taking one out to the grill for a new walleye recipe. All that and this week's winner of an Arkansas hunting and fishing license right after this break.
Arkansas Wildlife is brought to you in part by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. Harsh glow of fluorescent bulbs and the constant hum of machines, this seems like an unlikely place to witness the essence of nature. But at Arkansas Game and Fish Commission fish hatcheries, nature gets a helping hand. One of these tiny eggs could someday be the tasty main dish at an Arkansas fish fry, or maybe something even better.
Try not to leave any eggs behind, that might be the next world record.
Each year, the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission produces millions of fish at 5 state-run fish hatcheries. One of the first things on the production schedule is the Walleye Spawning Project, which this year produced close to 500,000 walleye fingerlings for the natural state's lakes and streams.
Walleye are native to Arkansas, and we do get a natural spawn, but we do this because back in the 50s and 60s, when the Corps of Engineers were damming up the rivers to create the large reservoirs, different lakes and things, the walleye lost a lot of its spawning habitat.
The Walleye Spawning Project usually starts in March. Taking advantage of the walleye's life cycle, game and fish crews collect fish as they move upstream in response to warming water temperatures and lengthening periods of daylight.
You got to hit it just right. You got to be on your toes. You got to know what's happening down there in your collection site and what the water temperature is.
Here on Lake Catherine, Carpenter Dam halts the walleye's upstream run, allowing crews to gather broodstock as the fish move onto spawning shoals at night. In these specially designed electrofishing boats, the netman depresses a pedal to send a field of electrical current down these booms and into the water, temporarily stunning the fish.
Still looking good, Dave. I can't see the bottom yet.
Crews run back and forth over the shoals, scooping up fish and taking them back to the boat ramp. If the haul includes females that are ready to deposit eggs, they'll spawn the fish in a plastic pan right on the dock. Biologists can determine if a female walleye is ready to spawn by looking at the eggs.
If they're clear with a well-defined nucleus, then I know that fish is going to be ready to spawn in the next few hours, and we'll go ahead and put her on the truck to bring her back to the hatchery.
At the Andrew Hulsey State Hatchery, walleyes are kept in large tanks, with crews constantly monitoring female fish for signs that they're ready to release their eggs. One female and several male walleyes are anesthetized with a quick shot of electrical current to make them easier to handle. In what you might call aquaculture's version of speed dating, the fish meet over a plastic pan, and hatchery crews help nature along by stripping eggs and milt into that pan. The crews use multiple male fish to ensure fertilization and genetic diversity. A clay compound is added to prevent the highly adhesive walleye eggs from becoming an unviable blob. 3 minutes of gentle stirring later, you get fertilized walleye eggs that don't stick together.
You just got to remember, you're not making an omelet. You got to be gentle with them.
It takes patience and a steady hand to pour off the excess clay solution. You don't want to throw out the babies with the bathwater.
Now we'll take them over to a hardening tray so they can water harden for the next 4 to 6 hours.
Walleye eggs are very fragile when they're first fertilized and developing, and they require time to water harden. They'll take on water and swell a little bit, get a little larger, and then the outside layer will harden.
The eggs go into these specially designed jars to incubate for 7 to 9 days. The constantly moving water provides a steady supply of oxygen.
We'll look at those eggs, and if we see that fry wiggling around in there and he's ready to come out, we'll transfer those eggs over to some round hatching tanks and allow them to hatch out in those round tanks.
The walleye fry absorb nutrients from their yolk sacs until their mouth parts are fully formed at about the 4th day after hatching. Now ready for their next move, the fry are loaded into barrels and transported to hatchery ponds. The stocking barrels slowly allow the pond water to mix with the water in the barrel to reduce the shock of different water temperature and chemistry. The walleye will feed on zooplankton for the next 30 to 45 days until they reach about 1.5 inches in length. If these predatory fish are allowed to grow much larger than that, they begin to cannibalize one another.
If you leave them in much longer, you're going to end up with, about 200 to 500, 5-inch walleye, whereas you would have had, 70 to 100,000 1.5-inch walleye.
Hatchery crews seine the ponds to harvest the walleye fingerlings. A sample bucket is weighed and counted to give the crew a good estimate on the number of fish they're loading onto the truck. A good old-fashioned bucket brigade moves the fingerlings from the seine to the fish truck, which will carry these fish to lakes and streams all around the natural state.
It's a lot of fun getting them to that point, but we're happy to see them go.
But not nearly as happy as Arkansas anglers are to see them coming. It's late spring on Greers Ferry Lake, and we're hitting the water with Cody Smith, who runs Fish Greers Ferry Guide Service. Our singular goal is to load up on walleye, one of the tastiest fish you'll find.
These fish are orienting themselves to the bait fish that are up shallow on top, and then they've got a good break that comes off, and it's a solid break. So that's what you're looking for, is a real hard drop. When you're looking for these walleyes, they don't have eyelids. So, they have to use depth as cover. So we're going to be fishing that edge, and the bite should come, scattered from the point to right to the edge, which is where we're going to keep our boat.
Okay.
Just a good little cast, get it to the bottom, and then just a slow drag back to the boat, maintaining bottom contact at all times.
We're using a basic technique, a drop shot rig consisting of a light weight at the bottom with a small hook baited with an earthworm a few inches up the line.
That's walleye candy right there.
It's not a bad problem to have, but walleye have lots of friends who are looking to steal their candy.
Well, start to the day, you can't catch walleyes without catching everything else. You know what I mean? There he is right there. Nice job, brother. What do we got? Little smallmouth.
Little baby bass.
That was a heck of a hook set, though. It's connected. This may be the right kind, Trey.
But after reeling in a few bass and one close call,
oh, there he went.
we finally scored as Cody landed our first walleye.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes,
sir. That's the kind we're
That's
after.
the way to start the morning.
And it wasn't long until we were thinking about dinner plans.
That's a great fish. Yeah, man, that is a good looking fish. The part I like best is this section right through here.
And you know, we get one about 5 inches bigger. These aren't bad either.
Oh,
Those are the cheeks.
Yeah, yeah.
And then don't forget about
wings.
the wings, man. It's a delicacy with great fish. We'll throw that in the box.
The walleye probably isn't the first fish that comes to mind when anglers think of fishing in Arkansas, but it is native to the state, and through the efforts of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission's stocking program, walleye can be found in lakes and streams across the natural state. It remains one of the most popular fish in many northern states and is actually the state fish of Minnesota. One reason is that it's one of the tastiest freshwater fish you'll find. You might be surprised to learn that a number of record walleye have been caught right here in the natural state, including a one-time world record fish caught by Al Nelson on Greers Ferry Lake in 1982. Arkansas also is represented by 4 line class world record walleye in the International Game Fish Association record book. While Cody and I wouldn't have shaken off any record walleye, we truthfully were more interested in putting some dinner in the box. We changed spots to see if that might change our luck, and just like that, I was finally on the board.
Nice job, Trey. That might be the right gun.
I believe it is. Yes.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yes.
Look at him. Trey fixing to get on the
snide
board.
with the walleye, finally.
Nice, dude. Well done, brother.
Yes.
Hard to beat a Greers Ferry walleye. Right, brother. You had the magic rock.
That's of course, of course. There we go.
It's fine shot there. Fine Greers Ferry walleye specimen.
Easy critter.
That's right.
I think that might be the right flavor.
Good deal.
Maybe not. It could just be a good bass, but it.
Oh yeah, that's Wally. Oh yeah. You caught him from underneath your boat, bro.
Oh, look at that.
There's another one
There's
with
one
him.
with him. That's a bass, though. No, it's a walleye.
Yeah,
isn't it?
another walleye with him. Nice job.
Woo, yeah.
Nice. Good job, brother.
That was fun. Well, I had my rod in my hand, so I had to shift the weight of the net.
I get it, man.
He's going to be, well, he won't be in the slot.
No, man, he's going to be right there underneath it. He is going to be, I'm assuming, your dinner tonight. Or somebody's.
Uh-huh.
For those that might not be familiar with chasing walleye, Cody offers some pointers.
So I'm going to look at the seasonal patterns for these fish. That means where they should typically be according to the time of year, the water temperature, and then the seasons that we're in. But these walleyes are primarily going to stay in the 60 to 65 degree temperature range first of all, because that's where they're most happy. With our water temps being 76, 77 today, it's going to put those fish in that 10 to 18 foot zone. So that's where I'm going to start my search. These fish are transitioning from the backs of pockets and creeks out to the main lake, and we're here to intercept them.
We intercepted some other fish too.
We do have a double, dude.
But at the end of the day, we went back to the boat ramp with 4 quality Greers Ferry walleye that provided a great day on the water and soon a delicious meal.
We've been fishing on Greers Ferry Lake today, and one of the species that inhabits Greers Ferry is the walleye. Matter of fact, the one-time world record walleye was from Greers Ferry Lake, as established by the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame record book. These aren't world record walleye, but there's some nice fillets. One of the greatest things about fishing for walleye, they're not really known as great fighters, but they are probably one of the tastiest fish that we have in Arkansas. Just really delicious, a dense white flesh. Walleye on the half shell. First did this with redfish. It's pretty popular in South Louisiana. By half shell, I mean we have kept the skin on one side of the fillet. So instead of, once we get that one fillet off, we just cut it off and you just leave the skin on. And that's gonna allow us a surface to go against the grill. We won't flip it. We'll just cook it with that side down, and we'll let the convection heat inside of the PK grill sort of cook it on the top. So you gotta cook it a little bit longer than if you're gonna flip it over, but it's still a really simple, really fast cooking method. The thing that's really gonna set this dish off, in addition to the great tasting walleye, is the compound butter we're gonna make. That's really gonna be the secret to this recipe. It's really simple to do. You just let your butter sit out for a half hour or so on the counter till it starts to soften up a little bit. And then you can add whatever herbs and spices you wanna add. In this case today, we'll use some kosher salt, some coarsely ground black pepper, a little bit of lemon zest, some dill, and a little bit of thyme. we're just gonna mix all those ingredients together, roll the butter up in some wax paper and stick it in the refrigerator, let it firm back up while our fish is cooking. And then at the end, when we pull the fish off, we'll just put some pats of butter right on top of it, actually right before we pull it off, and it'll start to melt and get all down there in the fish. Some kind of good. Throw our butter in here. We've got a half a stick of butter there. And it's really simple there. We're just gonna add all the ingredients. And you can go a little heavier on things if you want, because you gotta remember there's just gonna be a pat or two of this on top of each fish fillet. So you're not gonna have just really a lot of seasoning. You're not gonna overdo it. Butter's still a little firmer than I'd like for it to be. You can tell I'm wearing a jacket. It's a little cool out here today. Just get that all mixed up good there. You want to get all the different flavorings evenly distributed through the butter. It's good and mixed up now. We're just going to drop it onto our wax paper here. And then just kind of roll it up into a nice round shape there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, just making pats of butter here is all we're doing. That's it. We'll take that, throw that in the refrigerator, let it firm back up. By the time our fish is done, slice it up and drop it on the fish. That's all there is to it. The PK360 is good and hot, not too hot. We don't want it up there 500-600 degrees because we don't want the fish to stick, and we want good around 400, somewhere around in there. And we're really gonna use it more like an oven. We're gonna close the top so that fish is gonna grill and sort of bake, because we're not gonna flip it over, remember. We're just gonna cook it on the one side, the skin side down. So we'll take each fillet, drop it on there, and that's all there is to it. We'll let that go probably 10 to 15 minutes. We'll just kind of keep an eye on it and see how the fish is cooking. And obviously it's going to turn white. We're going to be able to tell by the texture of the flesh when it's complete. We're about 6 or 7 minutes into the cooking process. Gonna check it out, just see where we are. We're getting real close. Still some pink in this larger fillet. Probably another 5 or 6 minutes, we should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and close that down. Go ahead and get the butter ready to go. In the last 3 or 4 minutes it's cooking, we'll actually throw the butter on and let that melt down into the meat. It's gonna be so good. Our walleye fillets are good and done. Flesh is good and firm, no pink left in it. So we're gonna take a few of these pats of compound butter, throw them on top here. That's gonna slowly melt. Just give it another nice punch of flavor here on the end. Man, that's gonna be so good. Okay, our butter is melted. And it doesn't have to be completely melted. Make a nice little presentation there. We'll just lay that right on there, a little lemon, some greenery to make it pretty. And there we have grilled walleye on the half shell with compound butter. Give this a taste test here. Ooh, that butter, those herbs, and that walleye. Oh my goodness. Hey, watch out, crappie. Here comes the walleye. Good stuff.
Arkansas Wildlife presents the Watch and Win Giveaway. During each episode of Arkansas Wildlife, we'll give away an Arkansas resident hunting and fishing license. At the end of this season, we'll be giving away $500 worth of fishing gear with everything you need for outdoor adventures on Arkansas lakes and streams. It's all provided by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Visit the Arkansas Wildlife webpage at arkansaswildlife.com and click on the Watch and Win icon to enter. This week's winner is Rodney Grubb from Heber Springs. Congratulations and thanks for watching.